What is up, guys? We are over on World Flipper today to take a look at some Thunder Fever teams. We've got the weapons from the Whitetail Godly. Want to show you kind of the meta-esque version of these Thunder teams that I'm running, that I'm able to actually make. And then I want to show you two versions that are very similar, but they do not require this Philebus 3-star book. A lot of builds show that you need this book, but I'm achieving the same times, at least on my builds. On these labyrinth runs, I'm running around the same time frame. So we're going to cover all that. I'm going to have timestamps to the teams and their runs down below. So if you just want to hop to the thing you're curious about, feel free to do that. And we are almost to 1,000 subscribers. You guys are insane. I appreciate every one of you. Show up, you support my videos, and it just gives me motivation to keep making this World Flipper content. Anyways, we're going to hop into it. Smack the sub button if you're new. What you guys are looking at, we've got ourselves a 45-second run here with this Metis Thunder Fever team. The core meta change that I had to make, where if you have seen this team on past JP runs, you've seen how this Fever team works. I am missing the Christmas Thunder unit and couldn't use them, so I had to shift the build around a bit. I ended up putting Neftim because what I was noticing is the multi-ball fever gauge that Illumine fills up, so you guys don't know what Illumine does. Illumine has this ability. So when multi-balls appear, she's getting 25 to the fever gauge. So I did not have the Thunder Christmas unit. I did not have him. I could not build it the way I wanted to. So I was looking at units that helped with fever and multi-balls, and the first thing that came to my mind was Neftim. Tried out Neftim, and it actually ended up working very well. Neftim spawns multi-balls. It allows the fever gauge to continue and move on. And I went back over to the Discord and I looked at what people were trying, and there were people that were suggesting put in the Hanabi, it will work. I tried it out, and for me, Hanabi was actually clearing it a little too fast, so Rudy's gauge was getting out of sync with everybody. So I hopped back to the Neftim that I was trying, and it actually has been very consistent. And why this is working is if we pause this playback and we look here, Neftim's skill is just slow enough mixed with Shasuzu, you have enough skill wait time that if you look here at Rudy's gauge is about to pop. So we had the Neftim Shasuzu column go off, we had the multi-ball spawn, but since it took that little bit longer of skill wait time, we aren't overextending Rudy's gauge, and that means we go in to floor 2. So if we pick up the playback again, we go into floor 2, we now have Rudy's gauge ready to go. And this is what creates these consistent runs. This sometimes does mess up. This isn't as perfect as the meta version, which I was sad I couldn't make, but I wanted to still have it run the best I could. And we are still getting those 46-second runs. And if we pause it again, you're going to look, this is now the second wave clear. You look at Rudy's gauge, it's almost full again. So that's this little balance you're trying to manage. You're trying to get it so if you overskill, you go too fast, you're going to lose out on Rudy providing levitate right away and building up the fever gauge in the beginning of each encounter here. So it's what I was experiencing personally with Hanabi. That's why I was like, I'm going to hop back to Neftim and just stick with it, because it kept just the auto computer just kept messing it up. But it's very consistent between 45 and 50-second runs. I've seen it like mess up once, like out of every 10 runs, and it might do like a 55-second run, but it's still very, very good. I enjoy this a lot. So if we do take a look, I just want to show you guys, we have a skill wait time with Shasuzu and Neftim of 495, and if we fly on over and throw Hanabi on the team, lowers it to 365. So when you go in, that column's going to be going a lot more. You're going to have multi-balls spawning faster. The fever gauge is going to go. It's going to give Rudy time to move around more, and it just causes the skills to get out of sync for me. I know some people, from what I was reading, they like Hanabi there, but I was happy with how Neftim's performing, so I left her there. Now, if you are looking at this build and you are like, I do not have a Metis, I cannot do this, do not worry. You still can run a fever version with Regis. Now, it's just a quick little switch here. You just go in and you want to switch in the Regis for the Metis. You can take in a build like this containing Regis, and now this still allows you to consistently run labyrinths at a faster time. And what I've noticed with this build is these runs are averaging in the low minutes. I would say like 1 minute 10 seconds, 1 minute 20 seconds. It's Not as fast as the Metis build. I mean, the Metis build is very, very explosive, and it gets the job done. It's even faster with the Thunder Christmas unit on it. But when you have just the Regis, you don't have the Metis, you can't build these 5-star base teams. You don't even have to have the Neftum on this team. You can put the Hanabi there. It's still going to function similarly, but the faster the skill wait time, the more the skills are going to start offsetting, the more the times varies. The consistency starts disappearing. And these runs with Regis have been very smooth for me. I would recommend this if you didn't have the Metis, if you didn't have a lot of 5 stars, but you had these other 4 stars. You can get these low clear times in these Necropolis runs. So we have a 119 run here. But if you are looking at this build and you're going, I have these units, I don't have the book. A lot of people haven't pulled on the Gacha portal for the armaments, or if they have, they've ended up not pulling the Philebus, which is, once again, as I said in the beginning, it's this 3-star book here. So if you do not have the Philebus, you can shift your teams around to not include it. And here we have the Metis variant without the Philebus. You notice I have the Gacha Soul book on Metis. You can put the Shadow Flash Sword Soul on her. It's just going to slow the times down just a bit, because instead of the 40% gauge, you're now getting 30, so that extra 10% you need to make up. But you can still get quick times without the Philebus with builds like this. You can go through into Labyrinth if you have Metis, if you have all of this stuff, and clear out the Labyrinth runs without having to pull these specific Gacha armaments. So I'm going to show you the Metis run here, and I'm going to show you can even run the Regis variant without the Philebus as well. You can go in with the same setup with this new Whitetail skill damage stacking armament. You can go in with the Shadow Flash Sword and the Fever Stick and just still be able to ramp into these quicker runtimes. So here we have no Philebus, still 46 seconds. It's still possible to get these under-minute Metis Fever runs without the Gacha books. It's a thing you can do. And like I said, if you take the soul off of Metis, this might push up to the 50 seconds. It might go up because you have to fill up that extra 10% skill gauge, but it is a way to run Fever without diving into the Gacha system there. Now, if we hop on over to the Regis version, it is going to be the same setup as the Metis. You're just swapping the Regis out for the Metis. You have the Philebus off the team. You've got the Shadow Flash Sword and the Fever Stick in place instead. And I do have the Shadow Flash Soul on the Regis here just to show you that it still flows very smoothly. And we run a 119 run with the Philebus on the team, and with the Shadow Flash Sword, I want to show you that the time is still comparable. If you don't have these books, you can still run it. It's not something you're forced into pulling. If you want to be super tier, you have the Christmas Thunder unit, you can build the variant around that team, and you are going to be getting some pretty ridiculous times. It's in that mid-30 range. But with this setup here, you still can do nice Labyrinth runs. I mean, you're not stuck with these 2-3 minute Thunder runs of the past. And here the run ends, and we have no Philebus on this team. We have no Gacha Souls whatsoever. And with that, we were doing well. We actually beat the Gacha Soul time by 5 seconds. And it does vary. It does go up and down depending on how the AI treats you. But it's a way to go in and build Thunder Fever even if you are missing pieces. So I do appreciate you stopping by with my little look at Thunder Fever here. If you are new here, looking forward to more World Flipper content, smack that sub button. I appreciate you being here once again, almost to that 1,000 subscribers. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.